Hey guys, welcome back for another installment of the Warden. This time we're touching on chapters 11 and 12. If we remember last time, Alice managed to make it to one of the safe zones with a new ally, ally, possible potential killer as well. Um, so the next chapter of the book is the island. Now, obviously we didn't know this, but you do now. They are on an island, not just a facility, not just trapped in a facility, they are on an island. The island's name is Cognita. And the chapter is The Island Cognita. And once more, we're with Alice. And I'm going to start now. Myself and Benny throw our hands into the air whilst two of the soldiers grab us and pull us both inside. The other two guards step in front of the submarine door, aiming their guns at the large group of bagheads. They stop a few meters away from the door. The man with the red mask keeps them at bay with outstretched arms. Other than the man in the mask, the rest want to rush us, even with the armed men present. How crazy are these people? As the crazies begin to settle, the masked man points a dirty finger at me, just like before. You are mine, Alice, says a gruff voice, almost like someone putting on a fake accent. Still, it is enough to make me tremble. As the crazies slowly begin to leave, the armed guards lower their guns and start to close the door, shutting out the horrible asylum. Picking myself up off the plastic floor, I find myself being grabbed by a soldier. As is Benny. You two came together so you could stay together, says one of the soldiers in a young male voice. None of the others speak as they continue to drag us to a cell. This safe zone is more advanced than anything I've yet to see in the asylum. Being flung into the cell, me and Benny land on a brown carpet floor as thick plastic cell doors slide back in place with a futuristic sound. The front of the cell is a wall of clear plastic, and the door appears to have some kind of retinal scanner and handprint device built onto it. Brushing myself as I stand once more, I am thankful to be alive. I've made it a whole day inside this insanity. The first day is always the hardest. Most lose hope or their minds and wind up dead. Benny can see the relief in my facial expressions as he walks towards a posh-looking leather sofa. This cell is more like a small home. Well laid out, it has everything. A tiny kitchen, small living room, a bathroom, and a luxurious bed. The walls may have been plastic, but they seem to have colours running through them in a swaying motion. It looks most unusual. What do you mean by the first day is the hardest? Just where the fuck are we? I ask, waiting for a response. Benny slumps back on the sofa, running his hands over his head. We are on Cognita Island, an island that is said to be somewhere near the Bermuda Triangle. It is owned by Lord Petersmith, a name you no doubt have heard. What the? I'm on an island? How? And Lord Petersmith does sound familiar. I recall my Jamie mentioning a friend with that name long ago. Benny must have seen me becoming agitated over the information as I mulled it over in my mind. You are Alice Madid, the best-selling author of Darkness Within. What is the last thing you remember, seeing as you're not here by choice? He was right. I most certainly am not here by choice, and it seems he knows me quite well. Deciding to confide in Benny, I tell him what has happened at my home. He doesn't seem surprised. All the while he spins and cleans the wedding ring on his finger as I recall my tale. After a while he begins to tell me that he too was abducted and lost his wife and grandchildren in the process. He caught him as he was about to expose the truth of Lord Petersmith to the world. Slowly and little by little, I begin to feel more comfortable around him. Even in this situation, he can still smile, and he tries to cheer me up. After telling one another our abduction tales, Benny reveals that I must have been put into a temporary coma for a month. The day I was taken from my home was now a month ago. It left a sick taste in my mouth as I hear Benny state this. Benny explained that Cognita Island was not charted, and Lord Petersmith is doing research tests on this island. He is developing some kind of parasitic disease. Apparently it could end the human race, but what has that got to do with these horror games? It also seems to me, as Benny continues to divulge more information, that the governor is a compulsive liar and has been scheming from the very start. The fact that he mentioned there can only be one winner was incorrect. He purposely wanted to pit everybody against each other as it boosted ratings. Benny has seen 3 years worth of these horror games. Never did he expect to find himself in one of them. Also, the tape I watched in the rec room, where the governor states that I need a 4-digit code to enter Sector 2, was also fake. Yet another lie, if I am to believe Benny's story. It was in fact 5 digits. The last was hidden in the showers, the place Sigrid told me not to go. Now that I have time to properly rest without fear of being killed, I am now becoming more aware of my situation. I am beginning to understand and deal with it better. The room me and Benny are in is the only safe room in Sector 1, and once we get thrown out, we'll not be allowed back in it again. Which means I need to get into Sector 2 by tonight and to the next safe room. With food in the fridge and the cupboards, I wolf down as much as I can before falling asleep on the 4-poster bed. Benny sleeps on the sofa. He seems to be a true gentleman, not many of them around in this world today. He warned me that getting the codes to the door are not top priority. Since he has seen this before, he is well aware that the bagheads often wait outside the safe zones for people. So our next goal is to somehow make it past the masked man and his waiting goons. That ends chapter 11. So we find out a little bit more about the island, a little bit more about Alice and her past, along with her life, that she's an author. Also name drops her last name as well there. We find out a little more about Peter Smith and a very underlying problem in the parasite that is being developed on the island, which may or may not come further into play later in the story, and what it may or may not do. Right, I'll get cracking straight on with the next chapter, and the next chapter leads us to Sean, and it is called Finger Licking Good. Every step me and the mercenaries take is shadowed by another step. The lights reflect brightly off the polished floor as they dangle loosely on the arched ceiling. But one by one, they start to dig off. Unlike the rest of the facility, these corridors are well maintained, but just like everywhere else, they have their own dangers too. If this vengeful bastard tailing us catches us, we will no doubt be beaten to death. The worst thing of all is the fact that we can only hear him following us. We can't see spirits unless they choose to reveal themselves. The cameras, however, are capable of seeing them. But when a spirit enters a location, the cameras can tend to go a bit staticky from time and are not 100% reliable. "Bud, he's going to get us," screams one of the men as he runs ahead of me. "Calm down, Dave. We're almost there. Go swipe the door so we can head out of here. These two guys are idiots. The only thing going to stop the dead guard now is to throw somebody at him." With chains clinking away, I hurry as fast as I can towards the blue double doors at the end of the corridor. The young lad continues to run forward ahead of me, and the other guy, his feet clapping away on the vinyl floor, drowning out the many dink noises as each and every light extinguishes in the corridor. With a swipe and a creak, the young man wrenches open the doors at the end of the corridor, but it has grown so dark in the long tunnel that the other man escorting me has to turn on the light of his gun. From the direction of his light, I can tell that the gun is no longer being aimed at my back. This guy is panicking, which is good for me, bad for him. Now that the younger lad is out of sight, and even though I did promise not to kill them, it appears that I will have to break this promise rather soon. Quick as a flash, I cut my hands, turn 180, and clobber the guy in the side of the head. It blindsides him and knocks him off his feet as he crumples to the side wall, his gun light spinning all around the ceiling. Seems the wall rail breaks the man's fall, but he's still dizzy, as I can just make out trickles of blood running down his face, while he tries to shake the cobwebs from his mind. Even though he is disorientated, he tries to focus the gun onto me. Before he can get a clear shot, I lift my knee high enough to greet his jaw with such force I feel it break on impact. He soon falls to the floor after kissing my knee. Still, this stubborn bastard is conscious. I give him credit for being tenacious. Again he tries to aim the gun at me, but with my bare foot I kick it away down the corridor. Thinking of going in for a kick, I freeze as the torch of the gun stops rolling around. and illuminates the dead guard. Shit. Time to bail. The dead guard is dressed in the usual blue press uniform that looks to be from the 1940s, as he looks over at me with a stern grin, and then looks down at the badly injured mercenary. He licks his ghostly pale blue lips with his cracked pink tongue as he pulls out a thin black baton from his side belt. Walter is the dead guard's name, and before he passed away, he died during a prison riot in the 1940s, where some of the escapees had found him and dragged him to one of the electric therapy rooms, where they roasted his head. Not like he didn't deserve it. He beat people to death on a weekly basis, but thanks to the death, he now walks and stalks the corridors with an electric contraption covering his head. Praying that I am not going to be his victim, I turn and begin to run. Walter doesn't give chase, but I can hear the muffled moans and groans of the man left behind, along with heavy thumping sounds. It was a good job I broke his jaws so that he couldn't scream. Racing out of the open doors, with chains dangling behind my heels, I turned to the younger mercenary who stood to attention, holding the door open. "What are you doing? Close the fucking door!" I yelled, frightening the man. What is this guy so spaced out about? It was his good luck that he hadn't seen me beat the crap out of his friend, but now he stands there. "Buddy's in there, we need to wait for him," says the young man, as his legs begin to tremble. He pops his head around the door and stares down into the dark corridor. I can only guess that he is terrified of spirits, but that dark void of a hallway is the last thing he will ever see. Using the chains around my hands, I wrap them around the young man's throat and begin to choke the life out of him. He squirms for a moment, but the chains are dug in nice and tight. 30 seconds pass before I release my grip. The man is out cold and flops to the ground with a thud. Grabbing his gun, ammo pouch, and vest, I begin to equip myself. There is no use in grabbing the man's ID card, as the governor or Sibjit was no doubt watching. They would block the card's permission, and I sure as hell am not going back into the dark corridor with Walter, which means I am left with no choice but to play the horror game. 60 rounds are all this kid had on him in person. Well, it's enough to kill nearly every psycho within the asylum at least. I will need a lot more ammo to get through the prison sector though. Rather than risk the young man getting back up, I lean over and grab his head before twisting it around. Better safe than sorry. Now that my guards are taken care of, I guess it is finally time to participate in these ridiculous games. One last thing I need to do though before I go on my merry way. All mercenaries wear gloves, but the trigger finger is always unclothed. This is because the guns are fingerprint locked, and this is the reason why no crazy has a gun. Then again, they're too stupid to realise the obvious. If all you need is a print, then crunch. I bite clean through the young man's trigger finger. Blood fills my mouth along with bits of flesh. Spitting wildly, I hold the finger up to the light. Now I have all I need. 60 rounds and a target to kill. Closing the door the young man left open, I begin to hear a crackle come across his radio. Now, Sean, that is against the rules. That tone. It is that creepy little bastard. Straightening myself up as I rip the radio off the dead body, I press down the button on the side. Should have killed me then. Now I'm coming for you and your fucking family. Good luck with that, my dear Sean. I do not foresee you escaping this facility. And if by some miracle you do, you have no idea what kind of horrors await you on this island. I shall allow you the use of the weapon. After all, this is the finale of the horror games, and we only need one survivor. The grand finale. Shit. That means you've fucking finished it, haven't you? I ask. I scream into the radio as I kick the door. The sound of laughter comes over the radio in static, making me feel nauseous. Grating my teeth together, the governor finally responds. Parasite M was finished quite some time ago. What we were struggling on was a gas form. Smuggling the containers into England wasn't so hard though. Soon my utopia of horror will begin. Once more that sick bastard bursts out into a fit of childlike laughter. Right now I have no idea what to do or say. I need to stop him before he actually screws the entire world. Oh, my boy Sean, would you perchance like to know where the key to your cuffs are? And why would you want me to get out of these cuffs? I can just shoot them off. I would be most careful in making too much noise. The Warden is in Sector 1, along with a few other surprises. The Warden, however, has made a new home in the shower room. My money is on you or that sweet little writer to win the horror games. I'm rooting for you both. We gave her advanced sight to make the games a little more interesting, and now we have you playing the game, a true trained killer. Ugh, this little shit loves to run his mouth, but thankfully the radio goes into full static. Guess I will not be finding out the location of the keys, or so I thought, as the radio clears up. Barely able to hear the little git's voice, I hear 3 words. Canteen, mannequin, key. In all honesty, I didn't think it could get much worse than it was, but how I was sorely mistaken. They brought the mannequin over from Sector 2 and shoved him in the canteen. He is in Sector 2 for a reason. What else has the governor changed around here? Strapping the vest on tightly, I recall the governor mentioned that he had smuggled containers into England. That is indeed the case, then the country is done for. A parasitic outbreak will grip the country and bring it to its knees. From what I've learned the parasite causes a person to act on their darkest desires, turns normal people into savage killers, cannibals, and in most cases, the parasite can grow out of control and take over the host, mutating them beyond belief. Damn it all to hell. Guess I shall just make my way to the canteen and avoid the shower room at all costs. The only other way to get to the canteen is going through the morgue. That idea doesn't sound too bad actually. Butch is due a bullet to the head, and taking him down and wearing his mask will make me the leader of the bagheads, easy to control and manipulate. Just need to be quiet as I can. For now, the crazies are more than likely asleep. During daylight, most of the crazies sleep, but if even one gets a sniff at me, they will wait to rest. Butch is too fat, too stupid to organise the crazies, so that is at least a blessing, as these whack jobs don't fear guns. Well, time to get a move on. And with that ends both chapters, and just as Sean predicted and theorised, he did kill both guards. A little sad, to be honest, really. I don't think he needed to kill the younger one, but I'm honestly surprised I didn't just push him in through the doorway and shut the door on him. I wonder why I didn't write that. But then again, he needed the gun, the finger, and a bulletproof vest is always nice. So that's not too bad. In there, we learn a bit more about this parasite that has now cropped up twice, 2 chapters in a row. Now, in this, it's Parasite M. It is, because this is a very, very base original, but it is actually Parasite G. And as we will come to learn, there are multiple strains of this parasite, all with different effects and different abilities. So, for those of you that are somewhat into Zompork, I have a new take on it in a different book that links to the Warden series, but is like an offshoot. You can find it on my fan club, D.P Tighe, on Facebook. And in there, if you search up Parasite Zero, you will find a completely new story that predates the Warden book. And you will also find out how the Warden became the Warden as well, because that is in there. I believe nearly the entire book is up for free on there. You just have to search through. You will find a lot of chapters on there for free that I've just posted for the fan club. Right. With that, we are slowly coming towards the end of book 1. What I may do afterwards is I may go through the entire book as a whole. I'm going to order a new copy though. I'm going to order one of the recent ones. I'm just waiting for a wage to come through. Sad that I have to wait for a wage to come through to buy my own book. So I'm going to probably do a full audio book. Might be in numerous sittings, but it'll be all one audio video. So you can watch me, my expressions. And then, if I've got in this YouTube stuff down, I'm going to edit it and be putting in noises. I'm going to make it darker here. Maybe a light overhead, make it somewhat spooky. and then we'll try read this again from scratch and do it right and all the way to the end. So then for any of you that are fans of the Warden, you get the audio in one sitting. And then maybe also, if I do a good enough job of it, I'll also put it on audiobook for Amazon as well. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your time. Please like, subscribe. If there is anything you can think that would make this better, or my videos better, please comment. I really would like to know. Other than editing, mic issues, yeah, I think mic issues is the biggest, and we are trying to sort that. We are waiting to get a very new mic that will help this YouTube experience anyway. Alright, once more, thank you. Goodbye.